Welcome back to Stage 4 Thriver. I'm Nicole, and today we are diving into something that sits right at the intersection of ancient wisdom and cutting edge oncology research: medicinal mushrooms.
This is Stage 4 Thriver, where science meets soul, data meets wisdom, and healing happens on your terms. Here we build bridges between conventional treatment and alternative therapies to cut through the noise, find out what really works, and walk boldly towards a future that is cancer-free. I'm your host, Nicole Saunders, Stage 4 Cancer Thriver, integrative health coach, researcher, and mama. Just a quick reminder, everything shared on this podcast is for educational purposes only. Any new supplements, dietary changes, or healing practices should always be discussed with a trusted medical professional who understands your specific situation. My role here is to empower, not replace. Now let's jump in.
Here's what makes this fascinating. For thousands of years, traditional medicine systems have used mushrooms as healing agents, but only in the last few decades have we started to understand the molecular mechanisms behind why they work. And what we're discovering is nothing short of remarkable. The mycologist Paul Stamets calls mushrooms miniature pharmaceutical factories, and he's not wrong. These fungi produce compounds that have co-evolved with us over millions of years. Compounds that can modulate our immune system, inhibit tumor growth, and even enhance the effectiveness of conventional cancer treatments. Today, we're going to take a look at the specific mushrooms showing the strongest anti-cancer properties in peer-reviewed research, which cancers they're most effective against, and how to choose quality products that actually deliver results. This is science-backed, evidence-based integrative oncology. Let's get into it. Before we talk specific mushrooms, you need to understand two key compound classes: beta-glucans and triterpenoids. Beta-glucans are polysaccharides, which are long-chain sugars, and they act as biological response modifiers. They bind to receptors on immune cells, particularly macrophages and natural killer cells, activating them to recognize and destroy cancer cells more effectively. Think of them like training signals for your immune system. Now, triterpenoids work differently. These are steroid-like compounds that directly inhibit tumor cell proliferation, induce apoptosis, which is programmed cell death in cancer cells, and suppress angiogenesis, which is the formation of new blood vessels that tumors need to grow. What makes medicinal mushrooms particularly powerful is that they contain both classes of compounds. You're getting immune activation and direct anti-tumor effects simultaneously. And this is why they work synergistically with conventional treatments like chemotherapy and radiation. They're attacking cancer through multiple pathways at the same time. All right, so let's take a closer look at some of these fungi. So turkey tail is the most extensively researched medicinal mushroom in oncology. And this is for good reason. The clinical data is compelling. In Japan, a beta-glucan extract from turkey tail called PSK, polysaccharide K, has been an approved adjuvant cancer treatment since 1977. That's nearly 50 years of clinical use. Multiple studies show that PSK improves survival rates in gastric and colorectal cancer patients when combined with chemotherapy. There was a landmark study published in The Lancet, which followed 262 colorectal cancer patients for 5 years. Those receiving PSK alongside chemotherapy had significantly better survival rates than chemotherapy alone. Another meta-analysis of 8 randomized trials involving over 8,000 patients found that PSK reduced the risk of death in gastric cancer patients by 29%. Paul Stamets funded research at the University of Minnesota that showed turkey tail's PSP, another polysaccharide extract, significantly improved immune function in breast cancer patients undergoing radiation therapy. Natural killer cell activity increased, and patients reported better quality of life. Turkey tail appears most effective in breast cancer, gastric cancer, and colorectal cancer. The mechanisms involve both immune modulation and direct tumor cell inhibition through multiple signaling pathways, including NF-kappa B and MAPK. In traditional Chinese medicine, Reishi is known as the mushroom of immortality. It's been used for over 2,000 years for its medicinal properties. Modern research is finally revealing why. Reishi is particularly rich in triterpenoids. It contains over 400 different bioactive triterpenoid compounds. These molecules are potent. In vitro studies show they induce apoptosis in multiple cancer cell lines, including lung, prostate, liver, and breast cancer cells. They work by disrupting cancer cell metabolism, and they trigger mitochondrial mediated cell death pathways. Reishi significantly enhanced immune response and improved quality of life. Patients experienced reduced fatigue, increased appetite, and better overall well-being. What's particularly interesting about reishi is its effect on inflammatory cytokines. Chronic inflammation fuels cancer progression. Reishi downregulates pro-inflammatory cytokines like TNF alpha and IL-6 while upregulating anti-inflammatory signals. This creates an environment less conducive to tumor growth. Reishi shows strongest efficacy in lung cancer, prostate cancer, and liver cancer. It's also being studied for its protective effects on the liver during chemotherapy, which is pretty significant considering how taxing treatment can be. Maitake translates to dancing mushroom. Legend says people danced with joy when they found it because of its medicinal value. The research backs up this enthusiasm. Maitake contains a specific beta-glucan called D-fraction, and this has been extensively studied for cancer. This compound activates multiple immune cell types: macrophages, natural killer cells, T cells, and cytotoxic T lymphocytes. It essentially orchestrates a coordinated immune response against tumor cells. Studies at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center found that maitake D-fraction enhanced the tumor-killing activity of immune cells by up to threefold. In breast cancer research, maitake combined with vitamin C showed significant inhibition of tumor growth and metastasis in animal models. A Japanese study of 165 cancer patients found that maitake improved immune function and quality of life in 73% of liver cancer patients, 67% of breast cancer patients, and 62% of lung cancer patients when used alongside conventional treatment. Maitake also appears to reduce side effects from chemotherapy. Multiple studies report decreased nausea, reduced hair loss, and better maintenance of white blood cell counts in patients taking maitake during treatment. Lion's mane is getting significant attention in neuro-oncology research. This mushroom contains compounds that stimulate nerve growth factor synthesis. Studies show that lion's mane exhibits cytotoxic effects against gastric cancer, liver cancer, and colon cancer cell lines. However, what's really compelling is its potential for glioblastoma, one of the most aggressive brain cancers. Research from Malaysia demonstrated that lion's mane extract induced apoptosis in human glioblastoma cells and reduced tumor invasion. There's also emerging evidence that lion's mane may help protect against chemotherapy-induced peripheral neuropathy, which is one of the more debilitating side effects where patients experience nerve damage in their hands and feet. The neuroprotective qualities could be game-changing for quality of life during treatment. Shiitake contains lentinin, a beta-glucan approved as an anti-cancer agent in Japan since 1985. Japan is really on it, guys. I think it's time for us to catch up, don't you? So shiitake is particularly effective in gastric cancer. A study of 275 gastric cancer patients showed lentinin combined with chemotherapy significantly prolonged survival compared to chemotherapy alone. Shiitake also shows promise in cervical cancer. Research indicates that it may help clear HPV infections, which is linked to the progression of cervical cancer. And as an aside, I believe that shiitake is one of the main ingredients in AHCC, which is a supplement that anybody dealing with cervical cancer or precancer or HPV infection should be using. It's one of the primary supplements for that situation. Cordyceps has unique anti-tumor properties. It contains cordycepin, which interferes with the DNA of cancer cells. This compound shows activity against leukemia, melanoma, and lung cancer cells. Paul Stamets' research highlights cordyceps' ability to increase ATP production, which is cellular energy, This can help cancer patients combat the profound fatigue that often accompanies treatment. Chaga grows primarily on birch trees in cold climates. It's exceptionally high in antioxidants, actually, among the highest of any natural substance. Research shows that betulinic acid derived from birch bark and concentrated in chaga induces apoptosis in melanoma and other cancer cells. Chaga also shows anti-inflammatory effects that may help prevent cancer initiation. The key point here: different mushrooms have different strengths. This is why many integrative oncologists recommend using multiple mushrooms, what's called a mushroom complex, to get broader spectrum activity. Now, we have to talk about quality because this is where a lot of people can go wrong. They buy any mushroom supplement without understanding what they're actually getting. The quality variation in this market is enormous, and it directly impacts efficacy. One of the first things that we need to look for in our mushroom supplements is the fruiting body. So the fruiting body is the actual mushroom that you see. It's the part that pops up out of the ground. This is where the highest concentrations of beta-glucans and triterpenoids are found. The research showing the anti-cancer effects, well, almost all of that is done on the fruiting body extracts. Mycelium, on the other hand, is the root-like structure that grows underground. Many supplements use mycelium grown on grain, usually rice or oats. The problem? When you test these products, you often find more grain starch than actual mushroom compounds. One analysis found that some mushroom supplements contained over 70% grain filler with minimal beta-glucan content. Now, while the mycelium has some value, the concentration of medicinal compounds is significantly lower than in the fruiting bodies. If you're taking mushrooms for therapeutic reasons, you definitely want the fruiting body extracts. But there are other things we need to look out for too. For example, extraction methods. So mushrooms have this structure around their cell walls called chitin.
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 Chitin. That's a new word for me. So mushrooms have a substance around their cell walls that's called chitin. And this substance is the same thing that insects have. It's like an exoskeleton. Humans cannot digest this substance. This means that eating raw mushroom powder won't give you all of those medicinal compounds. They're locked up inside that exoskeleton wall. Now, hot water extraction breaks down chitin and releases the beta-glucans. Alcohol extraction pulls out triterpenoids. That means that the best products out there use dual extraction, both hot water and alcohol, to capture the full spectrum of bioactive compounds. You want to look for products that specify hot water extraction or dual extraction. Simple powders that don't mention extraction at all are likely not very bioavailable. The beta-glucan content is the most important number on the label. Beta-glucans are the primary active compounds driving immune modulation. High-quality mushroom extracts should contain at least 20 to 30% beta-glucans, verified by third-party testing. Many products list polysaccharides instead of beta-glucans. This is misleading. Polysaccharides include regular starches from grain fillers. Beta-glucans, on the other hand, are specific immune-active polysaccharides. They're not the same thing. Demand products that explicitly state beta-glucan content with third-party verification. This is non-negotiable if you want the therapeutic effects. And talking more about third-party testing and certifications, it's important to know that mushrooms are bioaccumulators. They absorb what's in their environment, including heavy metals. You want products that are tested for lead, arsenic, mercury, and cadmium. Look for certifications like USDA Organic, which ensures no pesticides, and third-party lab verification through companies like Consumer Lab or independent testing facilities. Reputable manufacturers make these test results publicly available. Also check sourcing. Mushrooms grown in controlled environments in the US or on organic farms tend to have cleaner profiles than those sourced from industrial or polluted regions. Let me synthesize all of this for you. Medicinal mushrooms represent one of the most promising areas in integrative oncology. The mechanisms are well established, immune system activation through beta-glucans, direct tumor inhibition through triterpenoids, anti-inflammatory effects, and enhancement of conventional treatment efficacy. Turkey tail has the strongest evidence for breast, colorectal, and gastric cancers. Reishi excels with lung, prostate, and liver cancers. Maitake is your immune powerhouse, showing broad spectrum activity and reduction of treatment side effects. Shiitake, cordyceps, and chaga each bring unique benefits to the table. But here's the critical part. Quality determines everything. You need fruiting body extracts, dual extraction methods, verified beta-glucan content of 20 to 30% or higher, and third-party testing for purity. Mushrooms have been a part of Earth's ecosystems since the beginning of time. They've developed sophisticated chemical defenses and immune modulating compounds through eons of evolution. We're just now learning to harness that ancient wisdom with modern scientific precision. I think medicinal mushrooms are one of the greatest examples of the power of integrative oncology. They show time and time again that they have a very good safety profile. They, fight cancer directly on their own, but they're also completely safe to put with many types of conventional treatment. They don't get in the way of conventional treatment. They don't reduce the efficacy. They only help. And this is where the integrative approach really shines. And this is the message that I just really hope to keep getting out there, that there are things out there that help. There are things out there from both sides, the conventional and the holistic, that work well together and synergize and can increase healing and survival for everybody dealing with a diagnosis. And that, my friends, is the mycology of hope. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave me a like or a comment. Let me know if you've used any of these mushrooms, which ones are your favorites and why. And I hope to see you next time. Thanks so much for tuning in. Bye-bye. If you're looking for personalized support on your healing journey, I offer one-on-one integrative health coaching where we design a protocol specific to your diagnosis, your goals, and your unique situation. I also have diagnosis-specific integrative protocols available at www.stage4thriver.com. These are research-backed, evidence-based resources that take the guesswork out of building your integrative foundation. If this episode was helpful, make sure to hit that follow button so you don't miss the next one. I'll see you in our next episode, and until then, you're doing better than you think. Keep thriving.